What's up, everybody? Welcome to TeslaFix. Today we have also again a special episode, like I always introduce. Today I want to talk about a little bit more on what makes Tesla so special. That's what we're gonna talk about, and also a little bit about the Cybertruck and of course Model 3 again, because the deliveries keep rolling in now. So I've brought somebody very special to this episode. So let's see who it is.
Welcome to TeslaFix. Make sure to subscribe and like this episode.
So Joe, what's up?
What is up, sir?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm pretty fine. I've looked forward to this interview. We went on the Tesla Beat podcast, or I was a guest there, and I came in contact with you. But I've already followed you before, so of course there. But it was interesting to talk to you, so I thought I gotta get you on someday. And now is the chance. I had to do many interviews before that, but I aimed at this interview pretty much. So I'm happy that you're here, and maybe you can tell the audience what you do, what's your background, and how you are involved with Tesla, and then we can just start the episode.
Sure. So I'm Joe Jefferson. I am the president of Tesla Owners of San Joaquin Valley, and also the president of the NorCal region, for NorCal Reno region. So everything from Bakersfield up to Redding is my area for the Tesla Owners Club. It's a huge geographic area if you've ever looked on a map of the top of California. It's a big area. We're going on our fourth year as a Tesla Owners Club. And I've been an investor and interested in Tesla since the early days. And I do security in my 9 to 5. So, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but pretty nice that you're so involved with this club, and you've kept it growing and growing, and it's awesome. You also do events, I assume, a lot. Maybe, I don't know. Year over year, how was it? Is it keeps getting bigger and bigger, or what's the?
Yeah, the events get bigger and bigger, like every year. And we're a pretty active club, so we try to do events like every month. Now, I also sit on the planning committee for the takeover as well, so I'm a part of that. So we never stop talking about takeover. So we've already been in talks and trying to line up guests for next year and everything like that. So we're just, and as you know, it's expanding globally. So we have it's getting wild.
Yeah, with Austria, right? With the Tesla Owners Club in Austria.
Singapore. Singapore was also announced. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, with I'm blanking out of the name.
Starts with a D.
I had him on my channel. It's an atrocity that I forgot. I'm blanking out right now, but okay. Yeah. Darren. Yeah, exactly. Darren Young. Yeah, of course. Thank you. God, but the interview was I forgot Darren's name there for a second. Yeah, interesting. But count me in. Next year I will be at Takeover, and I wanted to go this year, but I couldn't make it. But next year, probably I will be there. So I expect premium treatment and everything.
Nothing but red carpet.
Exactly. I mean, this year you had May Musk, and now next year you have me. That's very important.
We've upped it. We've upped our scale now.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, just kidding. No, but Joe, let's get into the episode maybe here. Maybe let's start with the Model 3, because we've seen, I'm going to present my screen here for 1 second. We've seen interesting stuff here, and that is this picture, and
how incredible is that, right?
That's absolutely crazy. And I'm glad, because these are European cars that are going to be shipped here. And one of those could have been mine, but sadly I've decided to bite into the apple, into the sour apple, and don't order one, because I still have to wait. I have to be patient. So maybe you can comment on this huge.
Well, as we learn with Tesla, this was like one of the worst kept secrets that ever existed, right? I mean, everybody knew it was coming, everybody, there was leaks and photos and all kinds of things. But for them to roll this out and fill the lot with vehicles already made and start to ship them, like, I mean, they're a pretty special company. And I think a lot of people don't really realize that. But man, it's hard to wait to see what Tesla's going to do, because you really don't know. Like, I mean, they put that offer out there to transfer of FSD to anybody. So of course, why wouldn't you jump on that? Right. And then boom, Highland's coming, because it's, like I said, it's the worst kept leak, but still people were like, I got to do it. I got to, I got to transfer FSD. But now you're looking at all these cars, and especially with all the videos that coming out, like, man, holy cow. The Model 3 looks, the refresh it's very, very nice. It looks really good. Really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I mean, they've upped their game so much. Maybe this question fits here, because I was thinking about that. What makes Tesla so special? I mean, maybe you can comment on this, or I have an idea. So I don't know. So
I think Tesla was just in the right place at the right time. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like how Apple is. Like, there's certain periods of time to when certain products will enter the market, and they just hit the right people in the right way. And Tesla was just one of those companies. I mean, everybody knew about, like, the, just global warming and all the things that was happening with the environment or whatever. And here comes Tesla at the height, when the new president for America, and you know what I mean? And he had the initiative of being cleaner. And I mean, it just, like, I mean, people don't really think about that. You know what I mean? Like, President Obama's first year is, it was 2008. And you're just looking at, like, just a impetus of things that just happened right after that. And it was like, boom, you got the Roadsters out. Like, this is a sporty looking freaking electric vehicle that looks like nothing else. And then like, oh yeah, and we're going to announce a sedan. It's like, nah. And then you had all the haters, and everybody's talking about, there's no way it can't happen.
That's vaporware. That's not real.
But
the efficiency can.
That right there put a spark in people, right? Like, there were people that were just like, nah, man, we need to take care of the environment. And you had those early adopters that were just behind the company in a way that, people weren't really behind companies before. And I think that is what made Tesla who it is. Like me being part of the Tesla's Owners Club, like, I see it all the time. Like, even in my city, we have thousands of members, but I see cars every day and they're not members. Like, there's hundreds of people out there driving around that I have no idea who they are. And back in the day, I say back in the day, it was like 5 years ago. Back in the day, I would, I would know. You'd be like, hey,
I know what you mean.
I know who you are, and you know who I am, and man, we'll see you at the next meet, right? Like, but now it's like, I have no idea who that person is. And I think there was a little bit of that about, like, sticking up for the company and realizing that they were trying to do something good. I think a lot of people talk about, and you were on that call yesterday with the where they talk about missions and people and companies that have a mission. And I think Tesla's mission spoke to a lot of people at the right time. And even now, like, I think Elon Musk is one of those type of people that's just world renowned and respected, but in America, he doesn't get as much respect as he does in other countries. And it's kind of like, it's a weird thing, right? It's like, man, he's doing all of this in America, from America, for America, and in the world. And people still, like, dog on him and treat him like crap. And it's like, but why? Like, and it's kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I just think it just came along at the right time, and it had a good enough mission, and it spoke to people at a time when they were ready to be inspired with everything that was happening globally. It just happened to just fit. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, you've touched on pretty interesting points. Also, the popularity of Elon Musk. In one of your last sentence, you said now. I find it very interesting because, yes, the perception here in Germany as well is a little bit interesting, because you don't step out of line in Germany somehow. That's a part of our culture, that you're more like, especially in the business context, you're very like, you have to vote for everything. It's very democratic, but you still have those CEOs and those boards that decide, and they give you a leading position. But in the background, there's still the whole conglomerate, and if you don't comply with the vision of the whole team, then you cut off. Like Herbert Diess, for example, was also like cut off at some point because he was too vocal and verbal about the shortcomings VW had, so they cut him off. That's why an American CEO, especially someone like Elon Musk, who is like absolutely, he has his own head. He decides things for himself, and that's, for us, it's like arrogance or something. That's seen as arrogant and very cocky and very also American, if that makes sense. That's just it's not my opinion, but in general, I feel that the Germans tend to have these tendencies to view this like this. And also in the German media, of course, Elon Musk is a target all the time as well. I just wanted to give you a little bit context because you touched on this point. I think it's important to clear this also up a little bit. But I think when you look at the things he does, or look especially at the long form interviews he conducted, not the short form, not the tweets, not this. If he talks about the mission that he wants to do, I mean, he has tears in his eyes. He's very passionate about what he's doing. He wants to help people. Sometimes he has maybe Twitter or X rants a little bit, or says something stupid and has to delete it. I mean, but I don't know. Sometimes I don't agree with some of his politics things he says or something. But overall, I don't really care, because he is so crazy with making these things happen, building teams that are capable of doing this. And so I just wanted to touch on this as well. But do you think that Tesla could have happened if there was no Elon Musk, actually? Do you think that the two founders could have done it themselves? I don't know.
That's a great question. I mean, you don't really want to put nobody on a spot like that, but if they could have done it, then they would be doing it now, right? They would be They would have
3 Teslas at least.
Yeah, they would have some type of other business that they'd be running successfully if they could have done it. But I think also you touched on something very unique with Elon, is, for better or for worse, he's very outspoken. You're able to get insight to him like you wouldn't any other CEO. I don't even know. I can tell you right now, I don't know a lot of people who like Jeff Bezos, but everybody uses Amazon. You know what I mean? Whereas where people whereas people will be like, oh, I don't really like Elon, so I'm going to return my car. It's like, what? Like,
do that for the next 5 years and come back, actually, because the efficiency is still much better. Hopefully nobody remembers that I was saying this, but I am driving a Tesla again.
Very, very interesting times, man. Yeah, it's pretty wild, and I think about things like that a lot. Like he is so outspoken and so giving of his time, whereas most billionaires aren't, right? Like,
very secretive.
Yeah, you don't really have a lot of insight, and for him, he's very just, man, like, for him to be so giving of information and speaking his mind and speaking his truth, and you know what I mean, like, I don't agree with a lot of his politics, but I'm still gonna do what I have to do for the community, because I think it's a good mission. I think it's a good vehicle. I think it's the safest vehicle. I wouldn't have my family in anything else, right? But I think it's just one of those type of things where you can disagree with the person and still like the services of the product that they provide. There's a lot of people that don't care about Bill Gates, but they'll still use a PC. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
But yeah, he's held to a different standard for whatever reason. But it is what it is, and I think it has something to do with the fact that he is so outspoken. And if he was a little bit more secretive, then I think the company probably wouldn't flourish the way it does. And because I think that insight works for a lot of people like myself and like you, and you know what I mean? Like how many other, like, there's like a few Mach-E this and a few Lucid that's or whatever, but holy cow, is the world filled with Tesla information. You know what I mean? You're able to have this podcast and in this forum, and you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for a lot of companies. Like I was saying this earlier, how like kids, they'll point out a Tesla when they see one, but nobody's doing that for anything else. Oh my God, there's a Ford Mustang, or there's a Mach-E. You know, people don't do that. They don't really care. Oh my God, I see a Lucid, a Rivian. Like, it just doesn't happen. And Tesla is and I think Tesla is just one of those companies that just inspires, and it grabbed people at a time where it's been really impactful for a lot of years. And I used to think, like back in the day when the Model S was first announced, this was like, there was only the Roadster, you know what I mean? Celebrities had them. Nobody else really had anything. And they had announced the Model S. And I was like, man, that's pretty compelling. But I always thought there's no way Legacy Auto is going to allow this company just to run away with such a good idea and not step in to, you know what I mean, to overtake. You would honestly think that. And I think even JB Straubel said that, like they had released all their patents and everything, and they thought, well, we better move fast because people are going to be coming for our head. Here we are, like over 10 years. And
nobody showed up to the party.
How insane is that? They let Tesla have this huge lead on the industry, and like they created the vehicle, they created the freaking fueling stations for the vehicle, and now everybody's got to bow and come kiss the ring for services. It's wild. It's wild that they let it run so rampant, and now they're trying to. Now you have governments and things like that trying to, you know, do whatever they can to make it seem like it's the worst thing. Oh, he's the worst person.
Yeah, it's that's really crazy. And also, many people are so, at least here in my surroundings and everything, every time Elon is mentioned or it comes up, it's interesting that everybody really just points, that almost just has the headlines in their head and then just talk really like, no, but isn't he the worst guy on the planet? And I'm like,
the absolute worst.
Please watch this interview and then we talk again and stuff like this, because it's interesting. It's so inspiring what is happening there. And I don't really want to make Elon to a cult or a cult figure here. But if you see what he has done with his team, of course, with hiring. I mean, hiring was one of the best things Tesla did, actually, is the hiring, because they attracted so many good, capable people to develop these products. And I mean, also here in Germany, we had years and years and years of lobbying, of the car industry lobbying here, having the German government in a firm grip, and vice versa. They always looked at how it's going. Of course, it's still push and pull here and there, and they have to arrange. But it was so strange to like, the media also is so because of course the one who pays the ads, you cannot really bad talk him. I mean, it's common sense. It doesn't even have to be so conspiratorial or something, or a huge conspiracy. It's just, of course, you don't bite your hand that feeds you. You don't do that. And so you have a certain leaning to a certain degree. And it's hard for them to be very independent to say, no, let's just do that. And many of those Tesla channels just popped up because of that. I mean, many thought, wait a second, this is the best thing ever. And nobody talks about this. Yeah. Why is the media so misinformed? Or they just brush on the surface level. And there are so many Tesla experts who dig so deep into the material, like the limiting factor, for example. Oh, wow, I mean, he should write articles, you know what I mean? And if somebody from Wall Street Journal just sits there and just types something together, looks into the surfs the internet to
They're not
find,
doing that.
and not even that. Not even
but
that.
You know what's wild though is you would think that would be a thing, right? But I think TV has kind of ruined us in that regard. Like a lot of you would think like, oh, there's espionage and all kinds of stuff, but it's way more simple than that. If these people, and I see it with analysts all the time, if they are not spoon fed certain information, they're not seeking it out. They're not getting it. If it doesn't fit within the matrix of things of what they're looking at, then they don't see it. And then you also have like there's a hierarchy of people. So there's certain people that like they don't even know Tesla exists or anything about it like that. You know what I mean? And that's because they're so high functioning at the top 1% of the 1% or whatever. And I mean, they can't be bothered with little things like a Tesla or, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it just kind of, it's very interesting to me to watch analysts and watch that whole thing come up, like how YouTube just like blew up over that. And now you have like, I mean, it's everywhere, right? Like anybody can make a channel and they might pop, you never know. They might just become super popular. But yeah, I mean, Tesla gets the clicks, just the name gets the clicks, whether negative or positive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Wild.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I had to touch on these topics. I think it's because with this episode, I try to go more into the surroundings of Tesla, everything about how they could perform so well, and it's interesting with your experience with the club. How do you see the perception? Is the perception shifting? Do you feel like, or is it still very niche thing? I mean, you've said, of course, your club grew and grew, but I don't know. What's your feeling? What's your feeling on the base? You know what I mean?
That's a good question. I think just like the company, the club aspect of it has grown. Like I was saying before, it was kind of niche before, where you would know whoever. And even when I went to pick up my car, it was like big fanfare. people showed you around. You got the you know what I mean? Like it was like a really big to do. And now it's like, all right, you go there and you go, you know what I mean? Like, and I think the company has grown so big in such a short amount of time by I think automobile standards, like this short window of like 10 to 15 years that we're looking at, is so much has happened. You know what I mean? Like even if you just look at the last 5 years, like there's just been a lot that has happened. And I think that growth kind of lends itself to changing things a little bit. Like even for me as a president of a Tesla Owners Club, like one of the things that we look at is we are dealing with the people who appreciate the brand and respect the brand and are either looking for more information about the brand sometimes and things like that. You get a lot of new members that are just curious, and believe it or not, like there's still people to this day. I met somebody yesterday, never been in a Tesla.
Wow.
Like wild. You know what I mean? Like, and they were getting one and they had never even been in one. And so like, and that happens to people, but you also have the other side of it, of people who just, which is what put Tesla where they are, is there are people that are, if they do the research, the best vehicle for them will be a Tesla in most regard, like not to sound cultist or whatever. Me personally, I think if it fits for you, then it fits for you. 9 times out of 10, unless you just are really anti-Tesla, it's going to fit for you. But there's a lot of people that are just anti-Tesla. But anyway, there are a group of people that just bought the vehicle because it worked. There's enough charging stations around for them that they could feel safe having it. There's also enough of them around they think like, oh, okay, well, there's going to be service or, there's going to be help. And so, and I think like that right now is the bulk of the buyer. I think it's just people that are just buying a vehicle that suits their purposes. Like there's, like I was just at our local service center yesterday. And they are like hundreds of cars per day going out of there. Like people are just like buying and and they're coming in,
absolutely.
And they're happy and whatever. But then there's a large group of people that are just like, well, I just need a car, and this is like the best electric vehicle right now, from what I've heard from people. You know what I mean? And they had no idea. They had no idea about Tesla or whatever. So, and I think that is the dynamic that's changed for the company as well as for a lot of the owners clubs. Like even like we become more of information / influencery about the brand, as opposed to before it was just about like meeting people and getting to know people and getting to know the members. Whereas, I mean, you can see it in some of the stuff I post. It's really like people really hunger for information. And we're still talking about a small percentage. We're like less than 10%. You know what I mean? Like as much as we're in a bubble because we understand the brand and everything, but there's a large group of people that have no idea. Large group of people, no clue about Tesla, no clue about the benefits. And I was telling somebody yesterday at my job, like, and they were like, what? No oil changes? No regularly scheduled maintenances? Like they couldn't wrap their head around it. Like they were like, that's what? It was really bizarre. But I think that's the dynamic shift, as what you're saying is just the company's grown so much and become so renowned. I think I made this comment earlier, is like people, it's become the Kleenex of EVs. You know what I mean? You're not even using the actual brand Kleenex, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, and Tesla just become that. Even if you don't like it, even if you are a Ford exec, you can find yourself saying like, oh, this is the Tesla of that, or this is, you know what I mean? Like it just becomes, it is synonymous with excellence, or even like just the overall EV industry. So it is what it is. And I think they've done a really good job of moving the world to sustainable transportation. Like, man, it's been it's interesting.
Crazy. Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy how this how everything unfolded. And I mean, if you compare other cars to the Teslas again, and then you compare the specs and everything,
right,
then you pretty fastly realize just on paper, not even the driving feeling and everything, just on paper, the specs, nothing matches. I mean, of course, Mercedes had some cars that had higher range as the Model S even, but the thing is, it's not efficient. Yeah, even Lucid. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's not efficient. That's the thing. It's not to the weight ratio. When it comes down to the weight ratio, to the energy output that they have, or the performance, or the battery life, battery charge or something. Battery consumption. Sorry, for me, I have to twist around my English here with my German head. But
you're getting it. You're crushing it.
Thanks. What I mean, it's interesting to see. I mean, it's so funny that when people look the Super Bowl ads, and then they start to compare they see the cars and these things, this marketing campaigns that they pushed was just a huge marketing campaign for Tesla. Yeah. Because if you compare it, you can't deny it. And I also think that's the big strength of the brand, at least, is that there will be people that say, oh, I don't like Elon Musk, but he isn't actually Tesla. He's just of course he's the CEO and everything, but the product speaks for itself. And of course you can sit on the sideline for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, maybe 6 years, let it be 10 years. But at some point you can't deny the cost, the more efficiency and everything. absolutely crazy. And yeah, I mean, it's absolutely stunning.
It is what it is, and you see it more and more, like every day with the brand and with the coming of the Cybertruck. I think the Model 3 refreshing the Model 3 was like a huge win. I mean, it's not here in America. You guys are lucky. You guys get it before.
Yeah, I should have ordered one and exported it to you guys. Send it over.
It's just one of those weird times where, like, what else would you choose? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be a Tesla. I tell people all the time, it doesn't actually have to be a Tesla, but it should be electric, because why not? You know what I mean? Like, especially like a few years ago, even 5 years ago, it might have been more expensive, but now, like, and Matthew Donegan Ryan says this all the time. He lets people know that a Model 3 is price comparative to a Toyota Corolla, not even like a Camry.
That's so insane. That's so insane.
It's like, bro, not every Tesla is freaking $100,000. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to spend like, not like the Lucid Sapphire, which is like $250 or something like that. Like, and you have like all these companies that are making these super expensive, like the Cadillac Escalade is like $200,000, and the freaking, what's that new one? The handmade one that's all like bespoke.
From Cadillac. From Cadillac. The Celestic.
Yeah, the Celestic.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm blanking out on the name.
Yeah,
but Celestic. Yeah, it's hand built by one person. It seems like it's like
and no matter how you look at that, that is a station wagon. You know what I mean? Like, it's glorified and it's whatever, but Cadillac made a station wagon, a hand built bespoke station wagon, and they're charging people like $350,000 for it. Like, that's crazy. And I think people have in their mind like EVs are this or this, you know what I mean? Oh, Tesla is that. But I'm old enough to have remembered the Prius, and people did not want a Prius. Even in California, they were like, oh, you think you're better than me because you care about the environment? I'm not going to get a Prius. Tesla has just become that, you know what I mean? The antithesis of fuel economy or whatever. And it's like, oh, so how are my kids going to get to school without buses and all this type of stuff? And it's like, man, the eventuality is going to change. Like, everything is going to go electric, and because it's better. Like,
especially with gas prices. I mean, in the US, the gas prices fluctuated so much in the last years.
We're gonna reach a point to where, well, we're pretty much there already, but we're gonna reach a point to where it's gonna become so blatantly obvious that owning an EV is the way to go. It's going to be way more expensive to own a gas car. I mean, we're at the horse and carriage stages. Everybody had a horse because it was like cheaper and it could get you everywhere. And guess who has horses now? They're hella expensive. They're expensive to maintain, and you know what I mean? Like, I mean,
if you're balling hard, you have a carriage and everything. Yeah. So the Amish really they're balling with. I mean, what rims are those? I mean, those gotta be like 48s or something.
Exactly. You're gonna become a baller when you can afford gas. You know what I mean? You're gonna be like, whoa,
damn! Wait, a whole month wage you're putting in your car today?
Man.
Damn.
Yeah, it's about
you're balling hard.
but before that happens, there's gonna become a small window of a few years where they're gonna have to just unload these ICE vehicles for like dirt cheap because nobody's gonna want them. And who's not gonna want a freaking 2013 or a 2023 Lexus in like 5 years when it had all these great amenities and you're getting it for like $3,000? You know what I'm saying? Like, people are gonna snap that up, and I don't think gas is gonna ever go away 100%. It doesn't really have to. We just have to, use less. less of our dependence on it. And I mean, Elon talks about that, right? Like it's not about like just like getting rid of it completely, but
killing the industry. It's not about that.
Yeah, it's not about killing the industry. It's just about making better choices. And like we've said in this conversation, we've already reached that inflection point to where like it's less maintenance, less, you know what I mean? Your refueling cost is way cheaper. Even if you're paying like 50 cents per kilowatt hour, which is super expensive, like once you tack in like your regularly scheduled maintenance, you don't have a timing belt to worry about, fan belt, oil changes. You know what I mean? Even your brakes aren't as frequent to change. You know what I mean? Like, I went through a lot of tires, but I haven't been through a lot of anything else. You know what I mean? So I think people are really going to have to start to wake up to realize it. And here in America, we are so slow to progress. You know what I mean? Like people do not like change. And this is like a country built on the evolution and making things. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Google's here. You know what I mean? This is like the invent of like the computer and Apple phone and everything else. But boy, do we not like change. When the Apple phone first came out, people were like, how am I going to type on that? BlackBerry has buttons. BlackBerry was huge, man.
But where are the physical buttons?
Where are the buttons? I can't use this without a keyboard. They thought it was going to flop so hard. I mean, they were wrong about that, just like they were wrong about Tesla. But there's still those people that just don't want to make that change. Now smartphones are like ubiquitous. I think the car industry is going to be the same. Electric cars are just going to become ubiquitous to where it's like, you bought a gas vehicle for what? You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
What's the point?
Are you feeling well? You need to see a doctor.
You okay?
You okay?
Yeah.
No, but I think you've touched on an interesting point, because I think the US on its own is very contained in that sense that you don't really have to travel because you have everything there already. Right. You can go to the mountains, you can go into the desert, you can go from the nature perspective. So many people don't even travel everywhere and everything. So America also not using the metric system and everything. so it's very contained. So you didn't have to look left and right for anything, because you had your big blocks, your huge cars, your Harleys, you know what I mean, the bigger machines, like always. In Germany always was, or in Europe at least here, was always efficiency, smaller cars, make it more efficient. So these small gas cars that are very efficient here were like very normal and also pretty okay. Of course, Germany is a little bit different in that regard, especially in South Germany, because we have Mercedes here and BMW. So, sporty cars are very popular, of course, but not those huge SUVs like you see in the US. I mean, the Lincoln, for example, is a beast. I've seen it here on the German roads sometimes, and I'm like, all right, I find it very interesting. it's baller as hell, of course, because I'm very influenced by the culture by this culture, because I've grown up with Pimp My Ride and everything. So I kind of get it. But
are so outlandish when it comes to that sort of thing. Like, I don't need a Cybertruck, but I'm gonna drive it every day. Just one person inside my vehicle with all this space.
And in Europe, it's almost like, I think it's because of the space. I mean, in the US, you kind of have, of course, in big cities, it's also very cramped. Roads, but you have this land. I mean, Texas, for example, has huge land strides where, I mean, it's crazy. And in Europe, we don't have as much space. And if somebody uses up so much space with this car, we get furious. It's kind of like this. And it's interesting to see that. And of course, I pre-ordered a Cybertruck, and I'm going to ball this thing. I'm going to be balling hard here. And I'm going to, and it's an EV. So it's funny because that's also something, because still the majority likes internal combustion engines and are very like stubborn to change. And seeing a big American electric car is the worst enemy you can,
man,
think of. It will break some necks when people look around
the car. So hated. You're gonna be
but
an
the
enemy.
thing, I'm gonna be the biggest criminal here in Europe because of it. Yeah, but I think that's interesting, and still with electric cars, with the Cybertruck, I think you can pull this off. You can drive a big thing, big car. I think.
Well, it's the right amount of obnoxious, right? It's not like it's
not super outlandish. Yeah,
it looks unique enough to where people will be interested, and as well as like it's an EV. So it's not really destroying anything. It's not like you have like some like F-250 or F-350 that's diesel and spewing smoke
with
and
with 6 wheels,
36-inch tires, and it's just like, you know what I mean? But I think it's going to be a really interesting time. I'm also curious about the cheaper, smaller Tesla that they're talking about, and I don't. I mean, there's already cheaper electric vehicles that people could buy, but people just want an inexpensive Tesla. That's what people are clamoring for.
Yes,
and because you can get like even in China, even in I mean, hell, the Bolt, the Chevy Bolt is cheaper.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you can get that for way under 25 right now.
Yeah,
but people aren't buying it. It's not like they're selling off the shelves or anything. But I mean, that goes back to what we were saying. Like even though there's other options that are clearly better, like some might say Lucid is way more luxurious and it definitely has more range. And even Sandy Monroe said the motors were more impressive because of how small and everything they were, but they're just not selling the units. And it's just, I mean, Tesla has figured out the Ford Model T of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they are. When the Ford Model T came out, there was no fueling stations for it. There was, you know what I mean? Like, and that was like a whole big old thing. Like steam engines were very popular. Even electric vehicles were popular at the time. Like in the early,
crazy actually. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
but
I had a post like, I don't know, like a couple of years ago now, but, Edison and Ford were working on an electric battery together. It's one of these photos where they're both sitting under this tree together because they had Edison had a really good idea for battery technology, and him and Henry Ford were trying to work on it together to try and make a better electric vehicle at the time. But the oil industry decided like, hey man, if we pay you and you start putting these other engines in it, you know what I mean? Then we could really do something. And then once the electric starter hit, it became a wrap for like any of the EVs or anything that was
crazy.
Yeah, because the
whole trajectory changed because of the oil
industry. Just from that point. And not only that, but they were selling them for so cheap on the dollar. You know what I mean? Even without the fueling stations, they built the network later. Yeah, I mean, like all the fueling stations came later. Like you can find there's old footage of all kinds of vehicles plugged in New York, Chicago, like San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco had like, it was like all electric, like the buses, the trams, like everything was like all electric. Still to this day, it's still that way. But there was so much priority around electric because they knew it could be congested in a city. But it didn't matter because once Ford started selling so many, once they figured out like that assembly line and they were able to get more vehicles out, oh man, like Tesla's on that path. And it's kind of once you reach that point of inflection to where they can put out so many and for a better price. I mean, we've seen this happen a million times. Like, it even happened in the 80s when the Japanese came here. They were able to produce so many vehicles and put them out, and they were so much cheaper than the electric counterparts. And this is like just a few years after a world war and also after the Korean and the Japanese war. And you know what I mean? Like, it didn't matter. Like, yeah, my grandfather wouldn't have bought it, but it didn't matter because his kids bought a Toyota or a Honda. You know what I mean? It was just like, one of those things because they were making so many. Like, oh my God, Honda, Toyota. And even to this day now, like Toyota is going to last you forever. You know what I mean? A Honda's going to last you a lot longer than a Ford will, but you know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Yeah.
Tesla's just at that point.
Yeah, and I wanted to add something here because it's interesting. You've mentioned the point that with Toyota, like flooding the American market in the 80s, around the 80s, and this also was tried on the German market and the European market, but especially in the German market, it didn't work out because German car manufacturers focused on the details so much that the feeling, the precision of the car was much better than the Toyota, but they were all also mass produced, and that's how they shielded their market almost. And the Germans were used to the German cars, and they were like, But of course, if you compare it, the American cars are different build. That's why the Japanese cars were in the past were an improvement, and I kind of sometimes hear this narrative that, oh yeah, the electric vehicle. I mean, you kind of feel it still that I mean, Blume, the CEO of VW now, who is also the CEO of Porsche, said e-fuels kind of rock. They're kind of cool, and the government also some parties here say, let's just fund e-fuels and let's just go into the e-fuel direction. But the EU just passed a law that says going from 2035, there's a ban on ICE cars. I mean, of course, they have gray areas here and there, and of course, they don't mean trucks and they don't mean bigger cars. But it's crazy to see, and I think it's this German arrogance because we've shielded the market before, we're gonna shield it now and everything. And when you really look into everything, it's such an atrocity. I mean, everybody praised, for example, Mercedes for their strides, what they were doing, and now look what Mercedes is showing. I mean, they are showing a concept car at the IAA that was recently the automotive show in Munich, a big one here. And what did they present? They presented a car that still is for the internal combustion engine and electric. So it is designed for both. And that's absolutely, I can't wrap my head around this. And they did they were so praised for their electric vehicle strides here. And they are moving in both directions. They are driving forward and backwards at the same time. And it's going to rip them apart, in my opinion. And it's absolutely crazy to see that.
Yeah, they're reaching a really bad state of business where it really sucks for them because they have to rip the Band-Aid off sooner rather than later and just take those losses. You've got enough to help you through that loss period, but they don't want to hurt the shareholders and all this type of stuff. But once you make that transition and you just start doing EVs, like Tesla has proven it works. You just got to see it through. And I think they're having a really hard time, like for the downtime. They know that those down years, they don't want to have that. They're trying to make it a smooth switch to where, like, oh man, if we just keep up this ICE business, it'll prop us through this transition. It's not going to work, man. Like you say,
like a junkie,
You're pulling yourself in two directions. It's gonna sting. It's gonna hurt bad. It's sad to see people not want to get out of that. I have so many references. I remember Blockbuster and those CEOs when they were questioned about, oh, Netflix is coming. Do you feel like they were like, nah, that's not competition for us. We're fine. We're good. People will still.
We're Blockbuster. Sorry. Yeah.
Look how that panned out, man. People just forget about Blockbuster. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, don't be the next Blockbuster.
No,
man. I feel bad for Mercedes and for BMW too. Like they have really the i8 was amazing. I mean, it was a hybrid, but still, like to cancel that platform, oh man, that was a beautiful car. Crazy they got rid of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. The i8 was you mean BMW, right?
Yeah.
The i8. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a pretty popular car in the US as well. I'm going to pull up a picture real quick for those who don't know the i8. But I assume everybody knows that. Wait a second. I'm going to put it up here.
Your followers better know that.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah, the i8 was amazing, man. And BMW just scrapped that whole thing. And it's like, why would you do that? Taking that design, that body design,
mm-hmm.
and they could have done so many things with that. Like, I mean, that's a freaking, look at that thing. Dude, that's amazing. That's a freaking, that's a Remax Navara. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No,
and that was years.
I know.
Before that, man, they could have done so much with that. So sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I think it was the i3.
Oh, the little smart.
Yeah, the little one. This was very okay. I mean,
so much technology.
That's a tough comparison now. I excuse that, but still,
how this dare
thing
you?
Was how dare you? Yeah, but this thing was out here from 2010 or 11 around that or 12. It could be 12. I'm not sure right now. But what the hell happened? I mean, they had this platform. They could have build it out more, but it was smart of them to produce a smaller car at first and then just get to the bigger cars. And I mean, it was kind of popular. It was super expensive, but this was a dedicated EV. At least it was out of carbon fiber for the most part. It was very lightweight. They really put huge engineering hours into this to get this thing rolling, and it was kind of pretty popular. And so. I don't know. It's crazy for me that now they go the route of let's do everything all at once. Let's put an internal combustion engine into the iX5 or whatever the new naming scheme is, and then you have this all those cars. Also, Mercedes does the same thing. It's so crazy for me that they are not committed anymore to build a solely EV platform, which will be lighter and better designed, because the German engineers are not stupid. They can do everything, I think, and they're pretty capable. But I'm happy that Tesla is here, because when shit hits the fan, then at least we have a company here who is going to scoop up every talent that they can get their hands on. And
so true.
I mean, we have the talent here, of course, and it's crazy how they shifted, and now especially with the release of the Smart One, because Mercedes also released the Smart One, and the Smart One is in collaboration with Geely, actually. So with the guys who built Polestars. But Mercedes should be able to do this on their own at least. But okay, now they have a partnership, but this also kind of has defeat, in my opinion, because they say we can't really build it. We have to do a partnership still in this year. I mean, it's okay to make partnerships to get the ball rolling and to figure something out, or scoop a company into your company, or merge your companies together. But after they build those great EVs, now they are partnering with Geely, and also some models of Mercedes that are going to be released in the future is a partnership with Geely together.
Yeah, that just speaks to a lack of confidence. It's just a complete lack of confidence in what your capabilities are, or how it looks. Like you say, it looks like defeat. It looks like, well, we don't really know how to do it. So we could use your help, and it shouldn't be that way. But you know that's it's funny, because all the hate and all the vitriol about Tesla was, man, once Legacy Auto flips that switch, they're going to be able to take everything over, and boy, is Tesla going to burn, and that they never could flip that switch. It has been it's really painful to watch them, and we didn't get any retractions about those statements, of course. from
of course.
from the mainstream media.
Yeah.
They just always they were so adamant. They were so adamant. Oh well, the competition's coming, and once they decide, Big Auto is going to do whatever they want. And I think you especially for us as a consumer, well, as a Tesla consumer, for me, I realized that it's not so much about like Tesla killers, quote unquote. It's more about like, these are like all ICE killers. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And people want us to be like, oh, well, what about this truck is going to destroy the Cybertruck or whatever. It's like, no, there's going to be people that's going to destroy the freaking Tundra. It's going to destroy the Tacoma. It's going to, you know what I mean? Like the Silverado is going to have problems. Like, and you could see it. You could see like these numbers start to fail over time. I think I cannot underscore enough has a really good, like you can just see it trending towards that way. Like electric is going up and the sales of everything else is just going down, and man, the writing's on the wall. And they were able, luckily for them, they were able to hide under it's a chip shortage. You know what I mean? They could hide under that for a while, but now you're coming out of this, people already seen like Tesla navigate that, and they were okay. You know what I mean? Better numbers than people ever thought was even possible. You know what I mean? Like nobody thought they were going to be able to hit those numbers that they hit. And now it's like, you can't keep saying there's a chip shortage when Tesla's navigating through it. And even if Tesla's down like 20,000 units or whatever, they're still hitting these incredible numbers. The Model S and X are hitting numbers that Lucid wishes they could hit. You know what I mean? Like Rivian is doing a great job, and they're not even hitting the numbers per quarter that the low end Model S and X are hitting. And this is a vehicle that people are like, oh, well, it's just there for fun. But these numbers are great numbers still. Like, I think Jeff said it's like 4% of their earnings, but still, like, who wouldn't want 4% of billions, right? You know what I mean? Like, it still counts.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely crazy how Tesla is outperforming everybody else, and how slow this shift still is. I mean, they are flipping the switch, like the Tesla killer is going to come, but is it a slow flip?
It's a slow
This flip is super slow. Man. Yeah, we're coming every second now. Absolutely. Yeah,
soon.
It's yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy. You have to you have to go hard or go home, really. Right. You have to go all into this and really step it up, and it's crazy. And if you now compare it with, I don't know, Lucid, where the CEO earns $450 million a year, and of course Elon Musk has a stock compensation, or had his stock compensation packet before he brought the company already to such big success that he's a multi-billionaire on paper with his shares he still holds. Yeah. So he kind of doesn't have to get payment, but still, if you look at the paper, it's absolutely crazy. And
Peter made more money than the company did.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing, because they're in the startup phase. Actually, still, I would say, and it's not off the ground. Why the hell is it's almost like it's his an enrichment company for him. It's crazy. And I have an interesting clip here from Jeff that I wanted to share here because it's pretty funny. Of course, it's just those famous screen captures of Jeff just pulling out his phone. So mind the quality, but
publicly traded CEO of the last year, what would you say? Well, maybe you say Elon Musk. He could have been, but he didn't take any options. Well, the answer is NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. He had total compensation of $506 million last year. But hey, NVIDIA stock is soaring up 255% in the past year, so at least investors are making money too. But who is the second highest paid CEO? Believe it or not, it is Lucid Motors CEO Peter Rawlinson.
That's so hard.
Equinor CEO survey shows that the EV maker boss was granted $379 million in total comp, most of that, of course, in stock, which is interesting. given that Lucid stock is down nearly 90% from its high, and the company has had some issues facing slowing demand, cutting prices, and loses money. Compare that to other car CEO pay packages. GM's Mark Barr earning $34 million
so blatantly
last year, which is down 45% from 2021.
Yeah.
Ford's Jim Farley granted about $18 million.
Oh, that's sad, actually. God damn it.
So let's put this another way. Lucid CEO was given 10 times the total pay package as GM's CEO. Now, General Motors is making a lot of money. It's also doing about $156 billion in sales every year, while Capital IQ reports Lucid is doing about $753 million. 10 times the pay for a tiny fraction of the sales. Hey, not a bad gig if you can get it. I'll do it.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
That is
it's
bizarre,
insane.
Man. You know, the crazy thing is that, I mean, we don't want these companies to fail, right? Because the truth is Tesla can't do it all on their own. You have a couple of things that happen. You're going to have brand loyalists. There's people that are only going to buy Mercedes, are only going to buy Ford,
of course.
And then you're going to have people that are just, they don't want to be like everybody else, so they're not going to get a Honda. They're not going to get a Toyota. You know what I mean? Like, these people aren't going to buy a Tesla. So you need companies like this to survive because Tesla can't do it alone. But this adoption requires like people to really hunker down and put it together, man. But how are you feeling as an employee when they've done so many layoffs and they're not able to put cars out the door, and then your CEO gets comped like this? Like, whew, that's gotta sting, man. I can't. I don't even want to be like in those meetings where they're like, what are we even doing this for? Like, we're not getting comped like that. Like, that's gotta, man, you talk about like all these union fightings and all that. Yeah. Like, but you look at something like this, like 10 times what Mary Barr is making. Sheesh. That they're doing $700 million and they're paying him $380 million. What the heck? Like, I bet Mary Barr wishes she could make half of what what GM is making in earnings. Like, man.
Absolutely. It's so crazy. I kind of get these vibes. Wait a second, I'm going to share this real quick.
That's so discouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
so
it's
a slap in the
crazy.
face for like anybody who's like working for that company.
Yeah, somebody like this. You know him?
Yeah, man.
I get Trevor Milton vibes left and right from this. I mean, okay, it's not vaporware. It's. I mean, Trevor Milton was the best thing that happened to electric mobility since Tesla, I would say, because it was so funny, the things he said. The gravy train, he was mentioning, it's going to be a gravy train, and the promises he did. But it's crazy. Lucid is on a good path to make a compelling vehicle, and of course the car is built very well. It's a good vehicle, but if you listen to this and hear this, it's way too early to get paid this much, and it's too early, guy. Please wait 5 years at least to take
that's like
seep up the gravy.
That's bizarre, man. And like you say, man, poor Trevor Milton. But there's been so many. 2020 was like, you could just see it in people. They wanted anything that was going to be the next Tesla, and they just had a hard time understanding that Tesla is the next Tesla, like Warren Redlich says. You know what I mean? Like, it's this is the company you want to get behind. You know what I mean? Like, this is the company that's still going to, 10x or whatever, NFA, but this is a company that still got growth. We're still at the early stages of all of this. And there's so many times that a company is not willing to put their own business in jeopardy. Tesla does that on every turn. They weren't afraid to make a compelling vehicle that was, comparable to the Model 3. They weren't afraid to make the Model X or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they're not afraid to freaking put themselves in harm's way for the greater good of the achievement of sustainable transportation. Just making and that says a lot about company. But man, you could just see it. The stock market was crazy with so many freaking SPACs, and I watched everybody like do the whole Trevor Milton thing, and you see it with VinFast, you see it with Lucid, you see it with there was, what was it, the other one, Lordstown, like, oh man,
Lordstown Motors,
and I feel bad for the employees that were, like they took these jobs and they were like, they really wanted to do something great, and maybe they couldn't get into Tesla because Tesla has like 10 million freaking applications per day when. So of course they get lost in the shuffle of all that because Tesla's only hiring like 1% of their applicants. And that's a lot of people applying. So they see another opportunity and they go work for this other opportunity, and it's like that didn't work out. It's, man, everybody wants the next Tesla, and they should just invest in Tesla.
No financial advice.
Not financial advice, but my God, man, why go for the next thing when you could just have that thing? Like,
it's like the next Apple. It's still Apple.
Yeah, it's still Apple. But
the next Amazon is still Amazon. Yeah.
But the good thing about that too, like people like to make the Tesla Apple comparison. There's gonna be a Samsung to Tesla's Apple.
True.
There's
I see BYD.
LG. I see BYD in that for sure. I see BYD like they are, and I don't really. I think like North America is really ready for the influx of Chinese vehicles that are about to come, like how they have been, or like they were in the past with the Japanese. I think there's going to be. It's gonna hit people over the head, man. They're gonna be like, wait, what? Because these cars they're not ugly, and they're not crap. You know what I'm saying? No, not everything is a Wuling Mini. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
Like, there's some compelling vehicles out there, man. Yeah. And once they cross the pond, it's going to be very interesting for a lot of like legacy autos. If they don't get their stuff together, man, it's going to be really interesting times. I see a lot of collaborations in the future. I see a lot of these companies just merging and doing whatever they can to stick together and try to see themselves through when they could have just taken these last 5 years. Not even the full 10. It's been over a decade. You didn't even have to take the full decade. But these last few years, the writing's been on the wall. You could have, you should have made the moves, man. And they just didn't. Sad, man. Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think what's also an important point is that we've talked about many things with, I don't know, trusting Elon Musk or people perceiving Elon Musk and the whole thing, and perceiving Tesla and the flag that the Tesla gets all the time, the pressure from outside, from the oil industry that tries to kill it as fast as they can, but it still didn't work out because they broke through. So they had their phase where the company nearly died, but this is over now, and they're in the now they are the gravy train. Sorry, Nikola Tesla drove, but Nikola Motors. But I think what also for example, VW just the trust that people had in that company was gone when they had Dieselgate. Actually, they always talked about, we're gonna have this kind of clean diesel. We have this clean diesel. Actually, no, you have fraudulent software in your cars that changes that recognizes, I'm in the testing environment, time to shine, and then the car much cleaner. It's such a clean diesel, and you can really see or you can be sure that this DNA is still inside of the company, because there were just a few people who got in trouble, not the high ranks got in real trouble, actually. They had to do the Electrify America thing then afterwards. That was because of this Dieselgate, actually. And that's also pretty interesting. And you kind of, it's about trust, and they played out their trust, and now people I get why people are so against the legacy car manufacturers now, because they're done. That you cannot get this trust back, and
it's tough.
So that's also for me a little bit. There's a little bit bitterness in that as well, a little bit for me, because I cannot see VW succeed now, because I know that they try to snake their way around some topics, and now with the e-fuel thing, I know what's happening behind the scenes. I think it's because we can't play in the EV playing field. Let's change the playing field.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Don't. I mean, we try to make products. It's difficult. We tried to conquer the Chinese market. It didn't work. Our software is too crappy and everything. It's such a mess. It's such a mess actually that. So for me, like, Tesla is this North Star of look, that's how you do it. Or even let's just say Polestar also. I think Polestar did also. Geely did a great job acquiring Volkswagen, by the way, from Ford in 2010, and then they almost like a few years later already cut out Polestar as a little startup out of Volvo and tried to develop those EVs. And they have the technology from China to produce those EVs. And the Polestar is a luxurious vehicle. And for me, it's not too far-fetched that Mercedes goes to Geely now and says, let's just do a Polestar, but with our Mercedes chassis on top.
Polestar's working on... They also have gigacastings too. They bought. Yeah.
I've seen that. Exactly. They just immediately adapted this technology. And that's how you do it, because gigacastings are the future. That's the thing. You get rid of 650 welding bots. It's crazy.
It doesn't work in low volume, but for high volume, like, it just makes sense. And they plan on selling a lot of vehicles. It just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so absolutely crazy times we're living in. So this episode turned out a little bit philosophical, a little bit a mix of everything, a little bit, I think. But I think we need something like this from time to time also to adjust, because where's the bigger picture? And I really enjoyed this episode now, Joe. Thank you very much for taking your time and being on. So, to my audience, is there still a question you have? Do you want to ask something? Did it spark your interest? A question, something like this? Write it down in the comments below. I answer every comment. You know that. I'm still a small channel, so this is the privilege you still have. So let's see how it goes. But Joe, maybe you have something you're working on, or you want to tell my audience now. Now's the chance. Or you want to plug something. You can just do it. And
they can just follow me on all the social media at SJV Tesla, Instagram and X and Facebook or whatever. I'm on everything. So
MySpace as well.
Just AOL.
AOL.
You know what I mean? Go and find me on AOL. No, I'm really just trying to. For me, I'm just trying to build out the community in a positive way for our area. We do a lot of homeless things. We do a lot of taking care of, like donating and whatever we can do for those that are stricken by situations unfortunate. So we're just a really, really big proponent of community services and what we can provide in any way that we can provide it. So I really try to, point my moral compass that way. Anything I can do that helps somebody make better choices or helps them in any way, that's usually what I do, and that's usually what I stand for. So
awesome. That's a great job you're doing. Thank you very much for this. I mean, it's pretty important to manage your community, help the community wherever you can. So this is also a great point to other people who also have struggles around them and try to help everybody. So thanks for this message. It's actually a pretty important one. So please help him that he can help everybody else with following him and checking out his socials, of course. So thanks Joe very much. I really appreciate the episode, and I can't wait to have you on again. So there's only one last thing we now can say to the audience, that's goodbye, everybody.
Peace.
Wasn't this episode awesome? Let's accelerate the pace of innovation by subscribing to TeslaFix. It is my absolute favorite channel on the whole interwebs.